Hi guys, I am back with another pocket page. Today I am doing a page back from May. I am so far behind in my Project Life album, but I'm really hoping to catch up. I have a crop that I'm going to in January, and right now I am off work, so I'm working on my December daily album. So I'm really hoping that I can get my December daily album, at a pretty good place, and then hopefully catch up a little bit on my Project Life. So we'll kind of have to see how that goes. I may end up having to just kind of stop what I'm doing for 2017 and then move on to 2018 so I don't get too far behind there, and then maybe come back to 2017 when I have time, or maybe just print my pictures. Sometimes if you are behind, you don't feel like you have to catch up right away. If you have your pictures printed and maybe some of your journaling typed out, you can kind of just put it in an album, and then it'll be sitting there waiting for you when you do have some time to catch up. So don't feel stressed out about this project. Make sure you are having a good time and enjoying yourself when you're doing it. So today I'm working on May. This is I believe the first week of May, and this stamp set is from Close to My Heart, and it is a retired stamp set. But I really, really like the font, and I like how it kind of connects together. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I just stamped it out with some Stampin' Up! Ink, which is one of my favorite inks to use, and then I fussy cut it out. These little acetate pieces are some really, really, really old acetate pieces that have been in my stash for quite some time. And I thought the color scheme went well. I have lots of pinks and kind of greens, tealy greens and things in this layout, so I wanted to mimic the colors in some of the photos in the products I'm using. So I'm just putting this down, and then I'm going to put the little strip that has the date here on the card, and then I'll end up ultimately outlining it. I can't remember if I do that right now or do that a little bit later, but I do outline. Here we go. Yeah, I outline the card, and I do outline pretty much all of the cards on the spread this week. And I'm just using one of my Muji pens. I really like this pen a lot. It's a retractable one, which I like even better than the ones that have the caps, so I got them on Amazon. Here is another photo of me and my kitty cat, and I'm just simply putting a stamped image that I fussy cut out on that. And then this one I already put the journaling on just to save some time so you guys aren't watching me stick down all these little bitty tiny strips. I did that on a lot of the photos already. And now I'm going to stamp sew over it. And I'm going to stamp it first in this green color. This is the same color I used with the May stamp on the first page, but I didn't really like it. I thought it blended in too much with this kind of crazy background, so I ended up doing it in black. And this is just some VersaFine ink. So I'm going to fussy cut that out, and then I'm going to stick that right there in the middle of the card. And if you hear my daughter talk noises a little bit, she has a cold and she's sitting next to me, so she's trying to be very quiet, but sometimes she may try to clear her throat. So if you hear that in the background, I apologize. So now I'm just choosing this black one and just using a little bit of my stamp or my runner, my glue runner, and putting that on the page. And I thought that these strips were not standing out quite enough, so I'm going to take my Muji pen and just outline all the strips, and I think it just kind of pops them off the page just a little bit better. So here's another one, and I am doing quite a bit of stamping on this page, which is good because I have lots of stamps and I don't tend to use them very much. So I really have to make a concerted effort to think about using them and getting them out. So I was pretty excited that I was able to get these out and use them. So here I'm going to be stamping here. I was going to stamp it first on a piece of white paper and cut it out, but I decided I really just want to stamp it directly on the card. So you're going to see here that I make a little bit of a boo-boo. It doesn't stamp all the way, so I'm going to re-stamp very carefully, and I was actually successful. I was pretty excited about it. And I just have a few places where it wasn't black enough, so I'm just going to take that Muji pen and color in some of those little spaces that didn't seem to stamp out as well. And now I'm just going to outline this card just like I did the other ones, and then that card is done. Next, I'm going to be doing another 3x4 card, or sorry, 4x6 card, and this is a picture of my husband and my daughter. He doesn't like to be on camera, so I have him covered up, or doesn't like his pictures on the internet, so I just covered him up. And I am doing a label that has the date, and then that little acetate heart that came in the same acetate pack as those flowers that I used on the card, the title card. And to get that acetate heart on the page, I'm just going to staple it with my tiny attacher, just 2 staples. I like the decorative look and the texture it gives, and then it's an easy way to glue down your acetate pieces if you don't want the glue to show. Now, we went to this thing called Shelby Fest, and this is where they have all the Mustangs. They have a show of Mustangs, and my husband is in love with Mustangs, and my daughter is named Shelby. So if you know anything about Mustangs, you know that Shelby Mustang is one of the fancier Mustangs, if you want to call it that. And so my daughter, if you ask my husband, is named after that car. If you ask me, it's named after the girl from Steel Magnolias, the one that Julie Roberts plays. But you know, it's okay. At least we both like the name and it fits perfectly. So the day that we went, this was at a beautiful, beautiful park. It was just an absolutely gorgeous day. A lot of times it's raining, but it was so beautiful this day, and the flowers were blooming and the colors were great. And so I got lots of pictures of my daughter as well. Some of them got on the layout and some of them I have in my other scrapbook. So I really, really liked how they turned out. That picture right there and this picture is pictures from the little kind of carnival that we have down the street from our house. And I am just doing a little bit of journaling on some of these strips and just added a little bit of texture with the little ticket on the previous card. And I'm just using again my Muji pen to do the little journaling. And I like this little label stamp and I thought it worked perfectly. And I'm just going to add a little bit of staples right on each side of the label. And then that card is done. And now this card, I actually did a mistake. When you see me flip it over in a little bit, you're going to see some typing on the back as well. I really, really wanted it to be typed on the back, and I liked it better on the back, but I kind of messed up. I can't remember if my typewriter was just, it didn't sit in my typewriter right or what the problem was, but it didn't type out nicely. So I had to flip it over and then use a scrap piece of white paper and then just type it. But that's okay. You know, that's why these things have front and back, so you can use both sides, and if you mess up, you can always just grab another card. Here's another stamped image I am using. I really like this scallop border, so I thought it'd be cute if I fussy cut it and glued it down. And then I'm just going to take this ribbon from my stash that matches some of the embellishments and just tuck that there behind the journaling spot. And I just thought that added a little bit extra texture, and I have so much ribbon in my stash. There you can go, you can see my back. Oh, that's what I did. I put it in my printer backwards. That's what happened. It was on my printer. I was using a vintage typewriter font on my computer. So that card is all done. I will outline this one a little bit later. I forgot to do that right there. Here's a picture of my daughter and one of her friends for Girl Scouts. We walked in a parade. So these are some photos from that day. I'm just going to use this. I think it's an Ellie Studio little circle die cut, and then another one of these labels with the date on it, and just using my pen again to write that on. And then I'm going to add that here to the bottom. And I think I staple this one too, if I'm correct. I can't quite remember. And it wasn't sticking very well. Nope, I guess I don't staple it. So here I'm going to be putting some clustering up in the top right. There was just some empty space and I wanted to add something to it. And you're going to see I'm going to put this journaling spot down and then add the troop number, but I don't really like how it turns out. So in a little bit you're going to see that I'm going to cover it up with some die cuts. But first I'm going to attempt to write it here, and it just looked funny. It just looked plain. It looked like it needed something, and I really probably could have added some die cuts with it without having to necessarily cover this up, but I thought I would keep it with just the die cuts on it. I ended up liking that better in the end anyway. So here you can see that I'm just not quite happy. So I'm going to pull out these die cuts. These are printables that I got from Inky Quill's Patreon page. I really, really like her Patreon page. She has some great images and things like that she has for her Patreons that you can download on a monthly basis. And this is one of the cut aparts that came, I think, in one of her very first, if not her first kit that she had. So now I'm just adding that flower on. I thought the flowers went well with some of the other flowers on the layout, and then I just add some staples for texture. Here is another journaling card that I've already typed on it. It was basically sent through my printer, and then I outlined the card, and here's that me outlining this card. So that's pretty much it for the individual cards. In a second here you're going to see my whole layout, and I'm going to be adding sequins all over this page. So I had kept in all of the sequined placement, but I decided it was just a little bit boring to watch me putting many sequins down. So you're going to see that I'm going to kind of fast forward here in a little bit so you can just kind of see what the layout looks like in the end with all the sequins placed. And what I'm using to place the sequins is that little pick-me-up stick, or what is it called? It's yeah, pick-up stick. I think that's what it's called. I got it with my silhouette, and it's got like a little gummy thing on the one end, and then it's got a poker on the other end, so you can actually pull the tool apart and use the poker to kind of poke down the sequins, and then the sticky part to kind of hold on to the sequins. And then the glue that I'm using is Glossy Accents. I think I just wanted to use the bottle because it was a little bit smaller and easier to handle rather than my Scotch Quick Dry. I use my Scotch Quick Dry too to put sequins down. I think either one works. Sometimes the Scotch Quick Dry, the little sequins pops off, so I like to use the crystal or the glossy accents. On this part of the layout, I was going to put sequins, but I moved them around a bunch of times and I just decided to take them all the way off. I didn't really like how they looked. So now I'm just outlining this card, and these were one 4x6 all together, but I wanted to make them look a little bit more separate, like separate cards. So I'm outlining them independently as opposed to outlining them as one 4x6 card. Now here's the other side of the layout. I'm going to put some more sequins on here, just kind of tucking them around some of the die cuts and some of the other places that are on the layout that seem to fit. And that pick-me-up stick is really, really, really nice. If you don't have tweezers, it's another good option to use that little stick. And it really helps. I don't know, when I try to use sequins, they always stick to my fingers and it's hard to see where you want to put them because your fingers are always in the way, so that stick works perfect. So here you can just see me tucking them in and gluing them down, and then I am done putting the sequins on this page, and then I feel like the layout needs a little bit more. So you're going to see that I'm going to take some more of those Inky Quill Patreon die cuts here in this bowl. These are all the ones that came in the kit. I'm sure I've used some of them, but here's kind of a quick sampling of what she had put in her original first kit. And I'm just going to add some of those around the page. So here on this card, I wanted to use some sequins originally, but I didn't really like how it was looking, so I end up going with the die cut piece, and then I added some sequins kind of tucked in that die cut piece. So while I'm finishing this up, I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Crafty Maven, make sure you do so. In January, we're going to start something a little bit newer. We're going to have a monthly inspiration page and do some new and exciting things. So definitely make sure you stick with us in January so you can kind of see all the new stuff that's happening on the Crafty Maven. And that's pretty much it for me. I'm just going to staple this little heart down, and that's about it. If you have any questions or any comments, leave those in the comment section below, and I will have more videos up in the new year. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great day. Bye-bye.